Cedar Street.
Cedar Street on South County.
Okay, right, Cedar Street.
Madam Chair, I have a statement for my disclosure. I do not believe that there's a conflict. If you don't mind me reading it for the public record.
Go ahead.
Before we begin the discussion on Cedar Street truck route proposal, I'd like to make a disclosure for transparency. I do own property along Cedar Street. Because of that, the town board requested legal guidance regarding whether that creates a conflict of interest under South Dakota law. After reviewing SDCL 6-1-17, and the town's legal counsel advised that property ownership along the street does not constitute a direct pecuniary interest because there is no direct financial gain tied to the decision, and any potential impact on property values would be speculative. Under state law, absent a direct pecuniary interest, the decision whether an official can participate is left to the judgment of the official. I believe I can consider this matter fairly and in the best interest of the town, and therefore I will participate in the discussion and vote.
So Ray, are you, I'm not sure how to word this. You're declaring your conflict of interest, so what is your intent on declaring your conflict of interest?
What is my intent on what? I don't understand.
And your
but-
declaration of conflict of interest?
Well, I don't believe I should be voting.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the street is on the south of me, and therefore I shouldn't be voting. And I don't think Travis should be voting either.
Well, he read his, so, hold on, let the board do their business, please, and then we'll take questions. I'm gonna have to ask the attorney for some assistance on this,
Sure, that's fine.
so,
If you feel like you can be fair and impartial, based on my review of the statutes, there isn't a direct pecuniary interest that an adjacent property owner has in this issue, in deciding this issue.
Excuse me, I don't think I could be impartial.
Okay, so in the absence of a direct pecuniary interest or a vote of 2/3 of the board to exclude you, then it is left to your discretion, and if you feel you can't be fair and impartial, then
I don't think he can.
that's your decision.
And for clarification, does that mean that he then needs to step and sit in the audience, or does he stay up here as part of the board?
You can stay up here as part of the board, you cannot participate in the discussion, and you can't obviously vote on anything.
so for a matter of record, would his vote be marked as absent?
It would be as though there are only 2 members.
Got it, okay. So Ray, you're clear, you're excusing yourself from the vote
Yes.
And
Okay.
conversation.
and conversation?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Minutes. Okay. Alright, so approval of the agenda for March 11th, 2026.
I move to approve.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next agenda item is a proposal to open First, Cedar, and Poplar Streets. So the structure of this meeting will be that the board will present present the item and their discussion, then the public will have the ability to present their discussion. So what's gonna happen is the board is going to look at the action and we'll have a discussion. And then once that discussion is finished, we will turn it over to the public. If you would like to have, be on record as speaking at this meeting, you must sign in so that we have a record of it. And if you don't sign in, you will not be able to speak on this item. During this item, you will have to wait until public time to speak. So, so if anyone needs to to sign in, the board is up there. Also, when you come to speak, we are gonna ask that you stand there to be recognized to speak, so that it is clear that that is your position on this item. Alright, so we're in board discussion time, so at this time, I'm going to turn this over to Travis. He is going to lead us through this action, and present some of the facts with regard to opening these streets. And then, once he is completed, then we will move to public discussion.
Thank you very much, Christine. Today, we're addressing the petition requesting that the platted, unimproved rights-of-way on South First Cedar to be open for use as a truck route. The board has reviewed this matter over multiple meetings dating back to September of 2024. We authorized engineering review, examined cost exposure, considered safety standards, and reviewed the position of Custer County. This discussion is not about whether rights-of-way exist on a plat or that we are vacating a right-of-way. The issue before the board is whether opening them as a truck route is financially responsible, safe, and consistent with our statutory obligations. I'm going to give some historical context. July 1st, 2024, public hearing was held on a request to vacate portions of South First, Cedar, and Poplar. Motion to deny passed. September 9th, 2024, citizen letter presented requesting establishment of a truck route utilizing First Street south to Cedar and west on Cedar. November 4th, 2024, petition to open Cedar and Poplar was discussed. Matter continued to future agenda consideration. April 7th, 2025, proposal to open First and Cedar and First and Poplar discussed, no action taken. May 5th, 2025, proposal to open First Cedar and Poplar Streets, no action taken. June 2nd, a new board was sworn in. Christine and myself was sworn in. Motion approved to initiate engineering and utility surveys. July 7th, 2025, proposal status listed as pending, engineering and utility review. October 6th, 2025, surveys noted as pending, no construction authorization granted. January 5th, 2026, engineering survey acknowledged as received, special meeting scheduled for further review. Today, March 11th, special meeting held to review survey findings and proposal implications. Here are the findings of fact. The rights-of-way are platted but unimproved. The rights-of-way do not meet minimum roadway standards for truck traffic. The feasibility study estimate is $47,000 per KLJ. Utility relocation is estimated at $20,000. The minimum known exposure prior to construction is $67,000. Construction costs would substantially exceed the minimum known exposure. Encroachments exist within portions of the rights-of-way, and those would have to be dealt with before we can move forward with that. Alignment, turning radii, and width constraints, including near the feed mill, do not meet truck safety standards. County approach permits would be required. Custer County has indicated it does not intend to assume construction or maintenance responsibility. The town would have to retain sole fiscal, operational, and liability responsibility, and the projected cost is disproportionate to the demonstrated public benefit. So my closing statement in all this is the board must balance public access, safety standards, fiscal responsibility, and proportional benefit to the community as a whole. And our obligation is not to open every platted right-of-way, but to ensure that any roadway we establish is safe, sustainable, and financially responsible. That goes over. If you have any comments at this point in time.
I don't have anything to add. I think you covered the timeline and everything needed covered when they received the petition, yeah. Okay, good. So at this time, we will hear, what the public has to present on the item of the proposal to open First Cedar and Poplar Streets, addressing the petition which states a truck route. So any other comments that are made, with regards to anything else other than this item will not be noted in this meeting. So this meeting is particularly for this item only. If you have something to say other than for this item, then I would ask that you hold that till public time, and then, you can make those comments at this time. So each citizen who signed up to speak will have, approximately 3 minutes to, make their discussion. So, I'm just gonna go down the list here. The first person I have is Sarah.
Sorry.
You have a timer, you want me to get a timer?
Is this, just quick, Christine, would this be the time? Sarah Beard, I own Rancher Steve Seed down on the corner of 101 Main Street, on the corner of the street. Would this be a time to do anything in conflict or just the road?
This is the time that I ask that folks address anything particular to do with the proposal to open First Cedar and Poplar Streets. So if what you feel like you need to discuss has to do with that, then you can
I have-
discuss that.
I have 2 of them.
Okay,
I have,
so you have 3 minutes to discuss your issues with this.
with Popular, with the
These-
road,
yeah,
though I have
this
an
one.
issue with the meeting and I have an issue with the road.
Okay, so go ahead and address your issue.
Uh,
Your issues.
Issues?
Whatever, yep, go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing, I've talked to Christine about this, is, and I brought it up, I told her, I didn't talk to you, Travis, before this, is, I will say, I personally, I'll be foremost, I am not for a truck route through making a truck route. I am also not for closing the street permanently ever. I would like to leave it as is for right now. It's the way it has been for 20 years, but we don't have in the future able to see what is going to happen, but I think putting a truck route personally in would be a waste of time and money when the truck routes are coming through just fine the way they always have. The second thing is I did talk to Christine about this earlier, and I'm curious what the lawyer has to say because I know the truck route would affect me financially, because I own property on both sides of that road, and Travis, you own property on both sides of that road, and I am curious, the lawyer can say how that would not affect me or Travis, period, financially. Because he says that he talked to the lawyer and said that it would not affect you. You would have to move stuff, if the truck route goes in,
So
then it's.
what are your concerns about the truck route affecting you financially? What are your concerns?
My concerns is we learned during the survey, Travis knows, and you know, and Ray knows, we've all looked at it, is when I bought the property, I was not aware of this, is there are 4 feet, when they did the survey, is in the right of way. We've been through all the documents, and there is 4 feet of the scale that was put in. We're still trying to find the exact day or time, month that the scale was put in, but it looks like late 40s, early 50s. I've contacted the people that made the scale. I've contacted the state of South Dakota to see when the scale was for sure. They don't have records back far enough to say when the scale was for sure put in. Right now, we're estimating late 40s, early 50s is when the scale was put in. The 4 feet that encroached on it, Evan Streeter, who was the owner prior, I bought the thing from Roger Jensen and Joe Peckeron. He bought it from Evan and Eva Streeter, and in 1974, there is a part of the
You have
store.
15 seconds, Sarah.
Okay.
You still have 15 seconds. to
Okay.
speak.
Anyway, there's a part of the store, so it would affect me financially, cause now I'm dealing with the encroachment. And I know Travis has an encroachment as well, so I'm just, how is that financially not a thing?
Okay, thanks. Alright, the next person that we have is Herman Wells.
Yeah, Herman Wells, 404 North 3rd Street. So, in September 2024, a petition was submitted to the trustees of Buffalo Gap at a town meeting. The petition asked for the creation of a truck route on Cedar and First. The petition was accepted by the board at that time, and in June 2025, the board approved funding for an engineering survey in support of the truck route. Eventually, this project was carried over by the current board of trustees. This is what I witnessed. Let me say first, I appreciate the fact that the board at the time took the request of the people with regard to building of a truck route into consideration. I think when the people of this town get together and they sign a piece of paper, regardless of what it is, it deserves consideration. In this case, the board decided to consider it. My research is on cost. I don't build roads for a living, but I have done a lot of engineering for the government. So I did some research on the cost for a 3/4 mile gravel-based truck route capable road, and that research was done via South Dakota DOT 20 and 24 and 2026 bid averages, which is fairly recent, and regional examples within the state. So my estimate, based on standard engineering principles, and this assumes a standard rural setup for a 24-foot width, 8 by 12 inches of compacted gravel depth, designed for heavier truckloads. The total estimated range of 3/4 of a mile is about $112,500 to $300,000. This cost has a lot to do with how close gravel pits are. We have a very close gravel pit, so I think the lower end of the range is reasonable. Let's just say it costs $150,000 plus moving the electrical poles. If you add the feasibility study, you're probably looking at 170. Basically, I did the math thinking about 200K. This is based on movement of poles and things like this that I already did. So the question becomes, where does the money come from? Well, there's really two ways to do it, but for us, it would be, because we don't have a lot of money in our treasury, it would be a tax-back loan. If we could get a loan, which is doubtful because there has to be some type of rationale for something like this, there has to be something that would warrant it. I don't think we could get a state loan. So my estimate would be 4% interest loan based on 80 parcels that we have inside of the town that pay property taxes.
15 seconds.
That's 1.7 mils would be about 140 to 180 per year. So, and even at 160 to 200,000 would be $160 to $200 per house per year for 30 years to pay the loan back. What else could we use that money for?
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next person I have on the list is Terry Kaiser.
Terry Kaiser, 304 Walnut Street. What I've looked into, and this was through Lance Russell, an attorney, is that when we didn't do anything on this petition, that it died. And now you guys brought it back up, which really did not have to be brought back up, is my main thing.
The next person is Lila Heck.
Just a reminder, if you're for or against, let us know
I'm not
that.
against, just so
She's
you know.
Heather. I haven't.
Oh,
I, it's other, I just wrote other, so I wouldn't be
Yep, you're good.
conflicted. I just think it's stupid, it wouldn't benefit the town, I don't care. But it's like, we have a burn pile sitting there, and really, it's been sitting there for how long? We'd have to relocate this, do this, it's done. It's not financially feasible, thank you.
Thanks, Lila. And then we have one more person on the list, and Tom Honeyake.
Sounds like most of my concerns have been
Tom, if you
addressed.
can take the podium,
No, I'm sorry.
if you'd like to speak, thank you.
Tom Huntinghake, 110 Main Street, Buffalo Gap. I guess most of my concerns have been addressed here, as long as we're only talking about the truck route, right? That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, that is all of the public discussion that we have for this particular item. Something that I would, I would like to do now is, I would, like for us to, go into executive session with the attorney. I have particular questions about, some of the language, or some of the, concerns, that the citizens have here and the language used. I just wanna make sure that, those concerns are being addressed, so.
Can the attorney just, I understand we're probably both on the same page, but I would like this to either die with this meeting or not die.
Yeah.
Can the attorney explain more in layman's terms
We're
how
gonna-
you don't have a conflict?
Right.
So what we're gonna do right now is, we're gonna move into an executive session with the board members and the attorney. Have discussion on some of the wording that's being used, so that I can clearly understand and address some of these issues, and then, consult the attorney whether she'd like to address the public or not.
So I make a motion to go into executive session
I will second the motion,
to discuss with the attorney.
just discussion with the attorney on language, wording, and address some of the issues.
Does that meet the criteria, ma'am?
Yeah, if you wanna make the motion to seek legal advice from your legal counsel.
That would be my motion.
Okay, and I'll second the motion to seek legal advice. Alright, so at this time, we've entered into executive session.
All in favor, say
Oh, all in favor, we gotta vote. Aye.
aye.
Opposed, and motion carries.
Yeah, so then we'll just ask everyone to step out and we'll open the door and let everyone back in when you're done.
Alright. So I'm going to, ask the attorney, one more time for the audience to, give us the absolute of the conflict of
Sure,
interest.
sure. So there is a statute in South Dakota that makes two scenarios absolute disqualifiers for board members to participate in an action. The first one is a direct pecuniary interest, and the second one is if 2/3 of the board vote that someone's conflict is an unacceptable conflict. If they vote that they don't want them to participate, then they're removed from the discussion and the voting. With regard to the direct pecuniary interest, it is direct in a very literal sense, that the person involved, Travis in this instance, would gain direct financial benefit from the decision on the action. Owning property along a right-of-way, any financial gain or detriment to an adjacent property owner is fairly speculative. That's why it wasn't determined to be a direct pecuniary interest.
Can I ask her?
Oh, you can ask the board.
Okay, so my question is, if it's not pecuniary, I can't pronounce that.
Don't worry, we got it.
Anyway, there is, you have buildings that you would have to either move, get vacated, whatever, something would have to happen in order for the road to go in.
Per state law, I have to do that right now anyway.
So, let's bring this back to the item at hand,
Absolutely.
is a truck route, not encroachments. And, sorry, Ashley, go
Well,
ahead.
the encroachment, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
If the concern is that having to move the buildings would create a financial gain or detriment to the person who has them, when a town has something encroaching on its right-of-ways, it has the right to require those to be removed. That's a completely separate situation than whether or not, and that can happen regardless of whether it's a truck route or an improved right-of-way or not. The town can decide that those encroachments need to go away. They can decide that the encroachments can stay and then enter into an agreement. They can decide that the right-of-way goes away. Those are options that the town has, but that's completely separate from the decision on whether or not there's a truck route.
Terry?
On the conflict of interest, the fact that Travis has tried to vacate that property, he wants it for free from the town, that doesn't create a conflict of interest? He's been rejected.
Here we're talking about,
Well,
Truck
no,
route,
he
we're not
brought up the
talking about-
conflict of interest.
we're not talking about vacating property right now. We're
No, but
talking
that's a
about-
conflict of interest that he's even voting
Okay.
because he wants that property.
Thank you. Alright, comment noted.
Just when, the three options that we have of either vacation or make an agreement or have it removed. Is it understood, or at least I understand, that having it removed means the town would have to pay for that since they allowed it to be there in the
So-
first place?
We
I don't
haven't,
think that's.
No, I know.
yeah, so, so respectively, Glenn, what we're discussing today is the truck route. When we,
Right, but
We
again,
began
we
to address-
all see the truck
I know.
route, these things as part of the truck route.
I
But when
understand.
they say it needs to be removed, I
So-
feel the town just thinks, oh, we can just remove it, but
Yeah.
there has to be
There-
some
so there's a
remuneration,
process
right?
for that, that's more detailed and not lined out than
Right.
just that, so, I think because the topic is so passionate, there's a reach for words that makes you even feel more passionate, so at this time, we haven't even addressed the process to kind of get there, so.
Right, no, I understand, but again, just those simple words
Yeah.
here given an impression that we can just do this without any
Not
kind
that
of
easy.
responsibility, right, okay.
Very good, alright, thanks. Okay, well, I have nothing more to discuss at this time on this matter, so,
I don't mind, I'd like to say something.
okay, yeah,
I understand all the concern, but regardless, at least in my opinion, regardless, if there was a truck route to go in or whatnot, I would figure something out, so it doesn't really matter to me at this point. What I've looked at since I got on the town council is to do what's right by the town. The first thing we did, whenever Christine and I got on, is there was a lot of problems with the water. We worked to make sure all those discrepancies were fixed, discrepancies for over 6 years or longer, Todd, do you remember? Yes, discrepancies that have been noticed for everyone. We wanted to get the town back into tip-top shape. I've been in government for a while. So we worked on that, we worked on other things, the roads, we worked on, the town employees, working to get all that done. So everything we've done to this point, and I'm gonna say even on the decision on this, has been, does it benefit the town or does it not benefit the town? And quite frankly, financially, whenever I give the finding of fact, it does not benefit the town. And that's what my position is on this, is how is this a public service benefiting the town that we're gonna spend public money on when it comes down to it? There might be other issues and concerns out there, that's fine and dandy, we can deal with those on an individual basis. But when it comes down to this does not benefit the town, it doesn't help Sarah, I mean, it's gonna cause a problem for Sarah, and she made that very clear. So I don't see that benefiting the town, cause if we had to do something and tell Sarah she has to tear down to meet this road, then that takes out a business out of the town, and I don't think that is beneficial for the town. So if you feel that this is the best thing for the town, I don't see how you come up to it, but that's my position after doing all the research, after driving through all the numbers and seeing what it will cost the town, that's my position, is that I'm against it.
I understand,
And
you
my-
did tell me to get a lawyer though.
That's not what I said, but that's okay.
But no,
and my position on this matter is the same, this does not benefit the town, it is not something the town can afford financially. And we already have 2 truck routes through the town, we have one that comes from 7-Eleven Road, down 4th Street, down Main Street, and then we have another one that comes down Buffalo Gap Junction, down to Cedar to 2nd to Main. So, I've also inquired with the county about this new truck route, it would have to be a county road, they will absolutely refuse the maintenance on that county road, and I can tell you the town does not have the equipment to maintain a truck route at this time, so my position is that, no for the truck route.
I have one question.
we're talking truck route, on the agenda it says streets. What are we talking, streets or truck route?
We're talking about the truck route in regards to the petition that was signed for the truck route.
Okay, but the
That's what it has always-
agenda doesn't say truck route, it says streets.
I understand, John. It's always
Okay,
been that
so
way.
the agenda should say talking about truck route.
So let's just go backwards in time for just a few minutes. And in October, on the agenda, in, November 4th, or in October, on the agenda, it was revisit Poplar, Cedar, and First Streets. And then at some point in the agenda, it also says revisit proposal to open First, Cedar, and Poplar. The meeting minutes specifically state the petition for a truck route. So historically, the two have always gone together. So if you look back in time through all the agendas and all the meeting minutes, it's always said proposal to open First, Cedar, and Poplar Streets. They've always referred to in the meeting minutes the petition for a truck route. So when we were handed it, so to maintain consistency, when we were handed our agenda and the very first board that Travis and I sit in, old business said proposal to open First, Cedar, and Poplar Streets. So we carried it through to maintain the language correctly so that there was no confusion as to what was being carried over from years past.
So you're not talking truck route then, because he gave the definition how much gravel, or Herman did, it would take to build a truck route.
Yeah, I just want to say one more time for the record, the petition that was given to the town board on September 9th, 2024 requested a truck route.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I move that the town deny without prejudice subject rights of way for use as a truck route at this time based on documented engineering constraints, financial exposure, and public safety considerations.
I'll second that motion.
And I have a statement to read as part of my discussion, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
I believe the board, if we're looking at all this stuff, the board finds that opening the subject right of way under the conditions would require substantial public expenditures, would not meet recognized safety standards for truck traffic, and would create ongoing fiscal and liability exposure disproportionate to the demonstrated public benefit and what we can generate in revenue. The board further finds that it retains discretion under South Dakota law regarding the establishment or improvement of municipal streets, and that no statutory obligation compels construction or improvement of platted but unimproved rights of way. That would be my statement on it.
Okay. And, all right, so, all in favor?
Madam
Aye.
President,
Opposed? Motion carries.
you have someone that's been, had his hand up for.
Hold on just a minute. And then, okay, so now we'll move into public time. So this is the time for citizens to discuss issues or concerns for the town of Buffalo Gap directly to the Board of Trustees. The amount of time for discussion or presentations can be limited by the president of the board. Individuals shall refrain from discussing personalities. No action is to be taken by the Board of Trustees without first being placed on a future agenda. Tom, you have a public comment?
I was trying to get a comment in before you second your motion there, but, so by your vote here, that's just the truck route, not street, right? Because we're getting things a little bit blurred here.
This
Going
action
forward, it could
is-
still be a street, but not a truck route. Or did you just vote to say it can't even be a street?
Would you like me to read the motion? So we can
Read the motion, please.
My motion was that the town deny without prejudice subject rights of way for use as a truck route
Okay.
at this time based on documented engineering constraints, financial exposure, and public safety considerations.
Right, public time. Anybody like to talk?
The petition is out there. Do you guys have the original petition with the ink signatures on it? Okay,
Yeah.
because me and another person both did not sign that petition.
Okay,
The only petition we signed was that marijuana grow operation.
that's okay,
And our signature somehow got on this petition.
Really?
Yes.
and you know what? Citizens have a right to sign a petition if they feel.
I know they have a right to sign a petition and stuff, but,
Can't sign your name.
but somebody else can't put my name on the petition.
Yeah,
You
I
know, that
understand,
is illegal.
I understand, yeah.
And on that petition, I did not sign that exact petition. The only one I signed was that marijuana grow house operation they wanted to put in. I was totally
Good to know.
against that.
Thank you very much for that information, Todd. That's pretty important, actually.
Alright, but yes, this is just a copy, the,
Right.
original has been filed,
Okay, well,
thanks. Erwin,
Right, with regard to the petition, this is twice this has happened in the town just since I've been here. And the board's taken just a paper petition in consideration both times. One with Ms. Sharon, she really worked hard to get a lot of people to sign a document. And when we were in that meeting, the previous attorney, Lance Russell, stated, just because it's on paper doesn't mean it can't be considered. It can be considered, right? But it's up to the board to make that decision. The same thing happened here, and I think it's, we may have found out some things that's caused some angst in the town, but they deserve to be heard. But my suggestion would be in the future is that if someone is gonna circulate a petition, because I circulated one for the post office, you have to write specifically at the very top of one of those petitions, this is exactly what we're doing. It's not, it's official. And it's typed out, and it says exactly what's in there, and when people sign it, they look at the top and they see exactly what they're signing. It's checked by a power of attorney before it even gets started. And so my suggestion would be for the board in the future that if someone brings something like that, just please let them know, hey, if you wanna bring something, we're happy to consider it, but let's do it on the correct, piece of paper, the correct form.
thank you. Anyone else? Hey, John?
Do you work for the city of Buffalo Gap citizens or the board?
I represent the town of Buffalo Gap as the town
So
attorney.
if there's an adversarial issue here, legal system loves adversarial systems. Who do you work for? Do we get a separate meeting with you without them, because they get a meeting with you without us?
I represent the town.
Are we the town or are they the town? Because humans, you can't hide behind some ethereal town. We're humans. Do you represent those humans or these humans?
I represent the municipal entity of the town of Buffalo Gap.
Well, I guess I should have expected that. If we have a problem with them and we have something we need to do legally, do you defend them or do you defend us?
If you are taking an action against the town,
Yeah.
I represent the town. I could not give you legal advice if you are taking action against the town.
So if 250 people who live in the town of Buffalo Gap were to do something, you would defend the board over the 250 people.
I would defend my client. My client is the town of Buffalo Gap.
Okay. I think I'm clear.
Alright, anyone else? Anything? Terry, go ahead.
May I go on record as saying I'm opposed?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'm opposed to
Oh.
the road. Just, I
Just to
haven't
be
said
on the
anything.
record.
Just be on record, I'm opposed.
Anyone else? Alright, I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting,
Second that motion?
all in favor,
Aye.
unopposed, motion carries.